With us now, Chairman Tom Cole, Republican of Oklahoma, who leads the House Appropriations Committee, the body that has been working for months to try to do the deal that for the first time in 20 years would see a full year spending plan. Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for being here. You're going to have quite a week. You're going to
be exciting, no doubt about it.
Okay, almost a year ago, when I talked to you about this, you were optimistic. And you said, we can do it, right? Like you've been in Congress a long time, and you said, we know how to do this, we can do it. It doesn't look like we're gonna do it. It doesn't look like it's gonna happen. Tell me the reason for hope. What's the reason for hope that what you wanna do, which is have the process work its way out and do what was commonplace prior to about 2005. Why are you hopeful, and if so?
Well, the reason to be hopeful is we're asking for nothing more than simply time. Look, we've not put anything in front of our Democratic colleagues that they haven't voted for before. We just want to talk and negotiate and keep moving. We're pretty close on 3 bills. We'll have another package after those 3 bills are done. But at the very last minute, frankly, Democratic leadership decided to put things in here that have nothing to do with appropriations. Medicaid is not something we deal with on the Appropriations Committee. The Obamacare subsidies are not something that we deal with. And so this is just an effort to take something and extort the day-to-day operation of the government to try and get something that's unrelated to that. Almost every Republican in both chambers has voted to keep the government open. Frankly, almost every Democrat in both chambers has voted to close it down. So I think it's pretty simple to see Democrats are trying to blackmail the administration and Republicans in Congress to achieve an unrelated objective. I don't think it's going to work.
Now, I get the part where $1 trillion for 7 weeks is a lot.
Oh, only 4.
Only 4.
We asked for 7. They only offered 4.
They're only offering 4. So $1 trillion for 4 weeks of continuing government spending is a lot of money. But for a lot of Republicans, and I heard it from Lisa Murkowski in the Senate, for a lot of Republicans, some of what Democrats want, which is the extension on the Obamacare subsidies, is probably popular with a lot of Republicans, particularly a lot of Republicans who represent districts that have people who are on Medicaid.
Well, that's an appropriate negotiation to have. Those subsidies don't run out till December 31st.
Okay.
This extension only goes to November 21st. So it really makes no sense to put them together, but a negotiation on that's perfectly appropriate. You just don't blackmail people by threatening to shut down the government, something Democrats have repeatedly, and I think appropriately, chastised Republicans for. They find themselves doing themselves. So the hypocrisy here is breathtaking.
Okay, there will be those in your party who say on the question of the Obamacare subsidies, which have emerged here as you say, a reasonable point of negotiation between the parties. There are going to be some who say, your fellow House Republicans who say, if we don't end this now, it will never end, and that we can't afford it, and it's going to keep going, it's going to keep going. How concerned are you that if the Senate comes up with a deal to get a package and that's in there, that House Republicans will say, we're not doing it?
Oh, I'm very concerned because, again, any deal is going to have to be something that involves House Republicans. You can't simply cut it in the Senate and send it back over without talking. I think that's actually one of the reasons why the president probably canceled last week's negotiation. He was not there with either the majority leader or the speaker. When they negotiate tomorrow, he will be. So all those parties need to be in the room because they all have votes that are important to actually get us moving forward and back on a normal appropriations path.
Now, it's hard to tell. You've done a lot of these. You've been around for a lot of these, but in the ones that I've been around for, the shutdown theater versus reality, right? So there's pregame talk, right? People say, well, we don't care and we're going to do whatever. Some of it's real, some of it's bluster. I hear a lot of Republicans say they want a shutdown because then they can fire all these government workers. And that a shutdown would actually be good because then they could finish the Doge work.
Well, I'm not for a shutdown ever. I was not for the previous ones when Republicans did it. Democrats have also shut down the government. Schumer did over DACA in 2017. Look, they don't work. They never achieve the objective they're supposed to achieve. They put a couple million people's lives at risk. A lot of us live paycheck to paycheck. They got mortgage payments. They got car payments. You know, we can keep talking. We just don't have to shut down the government to achieve the talk. And I think the threat is a dangerous one to make and one that when you slip into a shutdown, they're awfully hard to get out of.
Steve Womack, who is on your committee,
you bet.
Republican from Arkansas, said this. If you're a Democrat, even just like a mainstream Democrat, your predisposition might be to help negotiate with Republicans on a funding mechanism. Why would you do that if you know that whatever you negotiate is going to be subject to the knife pulled out by Russ Vought, who is the president's budget boss? These rescissions, Democrats keep making a point about these rescissions, and the Supreme Court just said to the president, yeah, you could, there's another few billion that you can slice out. If that's what Steve Womack is saying, doesn't he have a point there that it makes negotiating harder?
Well, the first rescissions package was actually voted on by Congress.
Totally.
To me, that's the way they ought to operate. I will say this for the OMB, their position's actually the same position OMB has had under every president since Gerald Ford.
Right.
So this is not some new thing. And I don't think the package that they've put out there, which I think we should vote on, and I would certainly support, but you're probably going to have to clear this legal thing. GAO is on the other side of this issue, although for many years, decades, they had the same position that OMB currently has. It didn't change till 2018. So clearly we have a legal matter here, but I don't think this, $5 billion sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but in a $1.7 trillion discretionary budget, it's not very much money.
What's the Washington line? $1 billion here, $1 billion there. Pretty soon you're talking about
pretty
money.
soon, but this is mostly foreign aid stuff. It's not controversial. Secretary Rubio says, I don't need this. So, again, I think, again, we should vote on it, but there's a legal issue here, and OMB has a case to make, and probably ought to be decided by the courts.
Thank you, sir, for being here. If you were from the town of Moore, Oklahoma, like both the chairman and Toby Keith, I did not know that. I did not know that. You would most certainly know him already, but if you don't, here he is. Chairman Tom Cole, we thank you.
Toby Keith's a lot more famous. And a lot more popular.